No, just waiting on Kurt so we can get this thing started here.
You don't need to
We
bump
know
it
he
up.
hates Friday mornings anyway, so.
He does. Let's just kick it off, why don't we? You know, because we have a hard stop, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, we suddenly take forever. I'll give him one more minute.
We'll start with 3 and add to 4.
Yeah. All right, we'll go with 3, 2, 1. All right, while we're waiting on Kurt to join us, we've got Tara from the car at a baseball game on a Friday morning.
Yeah.
Kelly and myself in our usual, looks like I guess I'm in a closet some days, but I'm not. I'm not in a closet. So got a couple fun things. We're gonna dive back into the one big beautiful bill. It was the GOP mega bill, so massive that it competes with Kurt's middle-aged mom following on social media. The bill is packed with Trump's 2017 tax cut extensions, tip and overtime tax breaks, and a border wall funding. And it's also got some spicy Medicaid and SNAP cuts in it that have Democrats crying liberal tears. But it comes with a price tag, about $3.3 trillion added to the deficit. And Elon Musk is calling it a disgusting abomination. And then he forms the New America Party. And it appears this bill's got more drama than the last season of Southern Charm. Kelly, you have been talking about what you're referring it to as the OB3, spreading your insights on social media. I joined your social media live, Instagram live yesterday. I didn't see Tara or Kurt on there. Shame on you. But I got some insights from you, Kel. So I'm going to switch it up because I would normally go to you, Kelly, first on this, but you know so much about it. We're gonna finish with you so you can add a little nightcap to the conversation. And I want Kurt to start with Kurt. Either one, you can talk about big beautiful bill or this new America Party from Elon Musk. The floor's open. Interested in your thoughts now that this thing's wrapped up.
Well, I just think it's on surface level, at least. I haven't heard Kelly's perspective on it, but it just seems like a lot of more of the same. It seems like we're kind of got duped into this. We're going to save money. Like, what was the point of Doge? What was the point of Doge if it was rumor, oh, we're all going to get money back, we're going to save all this money. Now we're like front loading it. Now we're going to spend all this money and then we're going to make it back in the future. I don't know. It just seems a little bit more reckless. I kind of stand with Rand Paul on this. He didn't vote for it, right, Brett? This last time around.
I don't remember the two no's. I think Rand was a no, though. Yeah, he stood firm on the no vote. But yeah, I mean, I think the whole point of Doge, I think that leads into why Elon was, quote, disgusting abomination. He was brought into the administration to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. He got a little taste of the internal politics in Washington, and they were moving forward with, at the time the House passed it, it was 2.8 trillion expected to add to the deficit. The final package, I think, was somewhere north of 3 trillion expected to add to the deficit. And that was all around the time of his kind of departure. And yeah, to your point, what was the whole point in what he was doing? I think anybody would have been kind of offended by that. And he is the wealthiest man in the country. So he's seemingly going to put his money behind a new party and challenge the corrupt swamp in DC.
Yeah, and I question that too. We know the third party doesn't really work in this country. It's designed as a two-party, but the way I look at the two party now more than ever with everything coming out recently with Trump is it really is two wings of the same bird. And Trump is not this savior, at least unless he changes my mind. Sometimes Trump has an amazing ability to come back and change my mind on things. But as of right now, nobody's coming to save us. We are heading down the same path we were before, if not worse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see industry flying back to America. I just see a lot of bloat. I mean, and it was like the same tactics that the government's been using for years. I mean, what did he bribe Alaska with so he could get their vote? It was like $3 billion in for new hospitals and healthcare. So he just threw a bunch of bloat into this bill to get it passed, and it seems very rushed. It seems filled with a bunch of bullshit that none of us want. Nobody, like Kelly talks about Main Street. Nobody in Main Street really wants. No average. The middle class doesn't want. I don't know. I think it's much of the same. I'm becoming very like just anti-state at this point because I expected Trump to come in and stick to his word, and in light of everything lately, it just seems the opposite.
Yeah, well, certainly on one side of the ledger, there is an enormous cost to this bill. On the other side of the ledger, and what Republicans are tuning into their constituency base is saying, well, this is going to be an economic driver, significant growth. Kelly will touch on some of those aspects as to what you could see there, but I think there's two arguments there, Kurt. There's one, if you're concerned about the deficit, you're concerned about 40 some odd $1 trillion in debt and our ability to pay that off. This bill did no service to that. On the other end, if you're just concerned about economic growth and prosperity, there's a lot in this bill that I think is going to drive towards there. So yeah, I think that's why you see the Rand Pauls and others that were kind of more of the deficit hawks saying, I can't vote for this bill because of the price tag, regardless
Mm-hmm.
of their opinions on whether things like tax cuts and Jobs Act being put into permanency or extending some of those provisions would create economic growth. You still can't get past the three some odd $1 trillion added to the deficit.
Mm-hmm.
Tara, what did you find interesting in either the final passage of the bill, the politics around it, or Elon Musk and his New America Party?
Well, I mean, I don't know that we were duped, Kurt, because I think that we discussed this the last time, that it was an imperfect bill to begin with, right? So it already had a lot of problems and a lot of things that were slipped in there that maybe we would prefer weren't. And Elon has never supported it. So also not surprising, that he's not happy that it passed. I haven't seen anything about this new party, so I would love for you to elaborate for me, Brett. I'm not on that side of the internet, so Twitter hasn't leaked over to my preferred apps yet. So I don't know anything about the new party. I know that our other brother Sean, of course, is always a big fan of there being a third party somewhere down the middle. So if that's what you're
Yep.
talking about, I still
Well,
consider myself a
Elon came
registered
out.
independent. So.
Yeah, Elon came out on Twitter and did a poll, and his thesis was 80% of the country is in the middle.
Yeah.
And he did a poll that effectively came back as somewhere around 80% of the respondents agreed to either being, a libertarian focus or like a third party would be helpful. And days later, he filed to start a new third party called the America Party, not American Party. There is an American Party already that exists.
Okay.
This is the America Party. And what he'll do with it to be seen. I mean, I think he's talked about kind of local congressional races, Senate, House races. You can kind of infer from that where did Musk spend a lot of time on the campaign trail for Donald Trump, and where does he have the most amount of influence? Pennsylvania, Kelly, may be an interesting one. You may see Musk push a America Party candidate in Pennsylvania, and other places like that. So, politics, as we all know, there's when it comes to campaigning, you got to have a lot of money to enter the game and stay in the game. Doesn't assure you a win,
Right.
but politics is expensive these days, and he is signaling that he's willing to spend a lot of money to start a legitimate third party. That doesn't mean a third party president, but it does mean when you're looking at Republicans versus Democrats, which is what this bill was, 51-50 vote. Inflation Reduction Act was 51-50 vote, that you have a very divided government. And it's seemingly at the end of the day, everyone, to your point, Kurt, will cut a deal and ultimately vote with their party.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what's best for America, though, or is that what's best for the 80% of Americans who don't feel represented?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's a fair representation, that the country isn't necessarily 100% aligning with whatever party that they, claim to be a part of. I think that we all kind of fall more towards the middle on a lot of things, and I mean, I think both parties can feel that way. A lot of the Republican Party has gotten so far radical to the right, and the left has gotten so far radical to the left, that you are leaving out all of these just like sensible minded, middle ground people. And yeah, it's like we've just lost all common sense in both parties, and it's just become, you know, everything is clickbait now. Like everything is to make a headline. Everything is to really almost polarized, I think, on both sides. So
Well, and I almost wonder if that's what Elon Musk is doing. Is there any legitimacy to this starting the third party, or is this just more clickbait? This is
yeah, and
he's
the
like,
problem with establishing a third party is, like, I know we've discussed in private before, just what does that even look like? How do you make that happen? How do you get enough people to back it? I mean, there's always somebody on the ticket who is an independent, or falls in a party outside of Republican or Democrat, and and a lot of people think it just takes away votes from helping whatever candidate we really need to succeed, and it's like a wasted ticket. A lot of people, I think, feel that way. So if
Yeah.
there's no chance of them succeeding, what is even the point?
Well, I think they can succeed in state congressional races, and I think that's
Small,
the
yeah.
point. Is
Mhm.
you're not starting with a presidential campaign, although you could argue you'd have a better chance of winning going into that arena, kind of like a Donald Trump did. You
Hmm.
know, he
Just jump
was
parties.
right. I mean, he could have formed his own MAGA, called it MAGA party, and he'd still be president today and get all the Republicans to support him. So, I think the point that Elon perhaps is trying to make is that he can win some of these state races, put some money behind candidates in members of Congress that are at risk of losing already in very divided states, and slowly get some influence in Washington. Where that goes, we'll see. Is Elon Musk the right person to head this thing up? I don't think so. I think he needs to go into the shadows, fund it, get some more Silicon Valley funding, and really allow the party to move forward under, more like libertarian type values. But to be seen. It's not my money, it's his. He can waste it if he wants to. Kelly, you spent the last week diving into this, maybe less of the America Party, but more of the OB3. To Kurt's point, a lot of the same, but what do you counter that with? Or do you, I mean, it is a lot of the same when we talk to like Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. There's extensions of those. Some of those things are being put into permanency, but what do you see as different this go around, and why do you think that's a positive?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, of course, from a purely economic position for small businesses, which is, how I like to look at a lot of things, not just for my career, but, all of us personally are affected by that. It's great. Okay. So the nice thing is this puts into permanency a lot of the things that were temporary in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. The OB3 now makes a lot of those things permanent. So QBI is permanent, which is that pass through business deduction. We get lower rates, same brackets, bonus depreciation, all the goodies. And what that does to the market is allows for assurance. And so, it's very easy now, or easier, to make longer term decisions because we know what the tax rates will be. We know what the tax code will be. And so, if you just look at it from a purely economic position in the business world, having assurances about where the future is gives a lot of stability to decision making inside of businesses. So I think all of that is great. Again, very selfishly, the big problem with any of this, I mean, the same thing with the tax code. Like the tax code, I know that this is what I do for a living. Doesn't mean I like it. It just means it's where I live. It's a mess. I mean, the amount of time and energy that I have to spend learning it as a professional, and then to tell the average American that you have to basically, I mean, you have to, if you have any level of complexity in your life, pay somebody like me to interpret that for you, is ridiculous. We have so many, hoops and things to jump through. I hate it. It's absolutely absurd. It's bloated. It makes no sense. Even all of this, like, again, I understand it, but it's ridiculous.
Mm.
I think the big thing with the America Party, where I think is a problem, and this is going to be a problem no matter what, is that I do not think that enough people, we've talked about this before, I do not think enough people feel enough personal pain to actually get behind making decisions that are in the best interest of the country. Because I don't care what side you're on, nobody gives a crap about the deficit. Doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. The exact same people that pushed the Inflation Reduction Act, and then the Republicans were all like, oh my gosh, this blows up the budget and it puts all this pork and waste into the government. And the exact same thing just happened. It's exactly the same. It blows the deficit up. Nobody cares. It doesn't affect anybody's life. It's all funny money. Brett, you and I were talking about this. I mean, the Congressional Budget Office makes, projections. It's all funny money. They have no idea. I'm sorry. It's just nobody really, really cares because it doesn't hurt them. So if you're going to have a new party, I think that the focus would have to be to what I think Elon's position is we actually should care, and we might have to make hard decisions instead of what our preferred party is pushing. And that's a very hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. One, because I don't think it affects them. That's just, I mean, just doesn't. So it's very easy to shout on social media that you absolutely hate the OB3 because it what makes Medicaid have work requirements.
Right.
Very, very nice and convenient. Oh my gosh, we blew the deficit out, but we're, harming all of these. It's just at the expense of Americans are going to die. And I mean, the exaggerations is ridiculous. And, it's on both sides. Like anybody that's living in these worlds of just screaming ridiculous things, like people are not dying over a freaking tax bill. I'm sorry. Just like they weren't dying over their Inflation Reduction Act, they're not dying over this. Like, please get off your high horse and live in the reality of a second. It's just like, you're going to participate if the tax rates are lower, and you're going to gladly not pay the government and be super happy about it. And the same people that are like, people are going to die, are like, oh my gosh, how much are my taxes?
And do you just not think, like, at the end of the day, we're essentially sheep, and so most people at the end of the day, they're not comfortable going against the norm, and they're going to continue to vote with their party regardless. Even if they're frustrated with their party, that is what they know, that is what they feel comfortable with. They don't want to step out and say anything different. So unless we get somebody that's like charismatic, like a Donald Trump, that is thought provoking, that makes people think twice about their vote and think twice about what's happening in our country, you really have to have like that special candidate for anybody to really think about flipping sides. I think
Yeah.
Donald Trump was hard to stomach for a lot of Republicans, but they like what he represents on paper. And so and at the end of the day, Republicans generally are going to vote with Republicans, Democrats are going to vote with Democrats. So I just think that it's going to be really hard to get people to, in general, I just think as a country we are followers. A majority of us
Yeah,
are.
and I
Nobody's
think
going to
that we
go
can
against.
see where these rare people who live by conviction are, and people love to demonize them. But I mean, look, like the Thomas Masseys of the world, right? You can, love or hate him, and if you're a Republican, you're like, "Oh my gosh, he's just roadblocking." And the same with Rand Paul. But it's like these are people that are at least speaking conviction and
Mm-hmm.
living
Yeah.
it and saying no to something that is, in their platform. And I think that that's just a very hard place to be. And so
It's a lonely
Yeah.
I
place
agree,
to be.
Brett. I think we might have better luck with an America Party if it starts locally. You might be able to make some changes locally that might get you a few, people into this party that would then be elected into probably the House. And you might be able to get a few, more centrist or independent voices. But man,
Exactly.
I think you have to have people that have a really tough skin and courage of their convictions, because the animosity on both sides for anybody that dares break. I mean, you can even see it on the Democrat side, like Fetterman. I mean, like he
Right.
is saying some of these things, and then they demonize him. Like, how dare you speak? And so I just think it's going to be very hard. I think that we live in a really polarized, um,
Mhm.
again, with like social media, people are just so honestly, ridiculously, almost demonic. Like, I go back to, I mean, just screaming people are going to die on the internet. Like, please stop, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah, I think I'm just disappointed in it, and it's just funny to me that you have all the people on the right. Like again, it just shows you that it's just a uni party. It really is just a uni party because everybody's like, "This is the best. This big, beautiful bill. This is so great. We had to vote for it." And it's like, hold on a second. No, it isn't. I mean, like you said, sure, Kelly. There's probably some benefits that are going to come our way, but is this? I just feel I feel duped, and I feel like a lot of people feel a little bit duped because I thought we were taking a different path. I thought we all recognized that the government was bloated. I thought we were going to reduce the size of government. I thought we were going to gut it from the inside. I thought that we were going to dismantle the deep state. And what have we gotten? I mean, that is what a lot of us voted for, was this disruptive change maker, and we haven't got any of it. I mean, it was just all false. I mean, we came in with such high hopes, and look, we're 7 months in, and has anything? And I get 7 months is not a lot of time to do anything, but we're just getting so much of the same, and it can go along every line of item that we voted against, even going down to the Epstein files, which I know we're going to talk about. But it's just like, what are we changing? I thought we were going to change stuff. What are we changing? So we're not changing anything. Then what are we doing? I mean, and I don't want to go to it that, it's easy. It's easy to just be like, well, Trump is enriching himself at this point, and that argument honestly becomes hard to stand against when he launched this freaking meme coin and made what, billions off of this freaking meme coin, and it's just, gosh, it's getting really hard to defend him at this point. And and I personally am kind of done with it unless he does something unless he's playing 5D chess like everybody says he is, which I'm so tired of hearing that at this point. Like there's no 5D chess. It's just status quo. He's the same politician. And in 4 years, he's going to be sitting right next to Bill Clinton and George W. Bush and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. And they're all going to be sitting there together. And it's one big party and none of us are a part of it, you know?
Well, talking about Bush, so the deficit, big deficit adders, Bush tax cuts estimated at $5 trillion, Medicare Part D, $1 trillion, the Obama stimulus, 800 billion, sorry, American Taxpayer Relief Act, $4 trillion, Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, $1.9 trillion, CARES Act, COVID relief, $2.2 trillion, American Rescue Plan, $1.9 trillion, extensions of the TCJA, Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, 3+ trillion, and then the one big beautiful bill, 3 to 4 trillion. These are all estimated over the 10-year period. When I pulled up this list, I was interested because there's one missing here, which was the Inflation Reduction Act. And I was like, well, it's got to be missing, the Inflation Reduction Act. And when I looked into it further, when the Inflation Reduction Act was passed, the estimate was that it was a deficit reducing bill. And so the CBO scores that it was not adding to the deficit. Now, there's been further analysis. Obviously, it's not closed in on that 10-year window. And so some estimates now on the high end could be that the bill actually could add $1 trillion, $1.5 trillion to the deficit. Different reports suggest maybe a couple $100 billion added to the deficit under the Inflation Reduction Act. But we were told that this bill was a massive deficit adder. And in fact, if you're using the exact same metrics that we're using, that we use all these bills, the Congressional Budget Office performs an estimate over a 10-year period of time. The Inflation Reduction Act did not add to the deficit. Now, over a 10-year period, we'll see, right? But interesting to note, we were told that it was, and we were told that's why this one big beautiful bill was so important, to kind of push back on what the Democrats did. Mind you, the Democrats passed that bill, as I said earlier, 51-50, this bill, the exact same. So the results are very divided Congress, herd mentality as far as how the votes go. And when it comes to the America Party, I think the most recent thing we've seen pop up that is similar to a third party may be the House Freedom Caucus, or the Freedom Caucus in general. It doesn't just exist in Congress, it exists in different states. And they are somewhat their own party. They have their own demands, and they got a lot of their demands met in this bill. So we shall see. But Republicans and Democrats alike have all contributed to this deficit. I looked this up. You know, we've been hearing all this tariff revenue is going to help us pay down debt and boost the economy. That goes into the Treasury's general fund. It's not earmarked to actually pay down the deficit. They could decide to use funds to pay down the deficit. It could also just be to make interest payments on the debt. So I'm watching that pretty closely as well. Again, to your point, Kurt, we were kind of told one thing, another thing's happening. We were told tariff revenue is to help pay down debt, help alleviate this and that. Will that actually be the case? Will Treasury allocate those funds? If not, will Congress step in to say, no, we're going to ensure that certain economic rents are being allocated to pay down the debt? And to this point, we really haven't seen that, which is why we have a ballooning deficit.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, that was great conversation. I mean, I'm ready for the America Party if it's legitimate, and I'm all
I'd like to
for
point
it.
out that I think you called this, Brett.
Yeah,
You
maybe.
actually said this. My husband pointed this out. I want to say maybe when Biden and Trump were running for Trump's potential term 2, and you said, what's going to happen is like 8 years of the same, and then we're going to get a third party.
Yeah.
Well, it is my job to predict the future. So,
Yeah, it's just
At least in
it's
politics, yeah.
in politics, yeah.
it's just very disappointing, and maybe it's more of a testament to the system than it is to any given man. Maybe the system is just built in such a way that nothing will ever change, and that we will continue to be robbed of our inheritance.
You may not be wrong, Kurt. Certainly, you shouldn't be led to believe that a politician knows more than you. They would love you to believe that. At the end of the day, they are people, just
Mhm.
like all of us on this pod and everyone listening. And they have decided to run for an office not because they're smarter, better, or more qualified. In fact, many of them are
Less.
the least qualified. Um, and then once they get in there, they will hold on to that power as long as they possibly can. And the more time that they are in Congress, the more time they are away from the American people and the things that impact us on our daily lives. Moving on, the big headline this week is the burying of Jeffrey Epstein. We are going to do a Epstein bingo as a fun way to talk about this because there's no really great way to talk about this. A lot of other podcasters and commentaries have been talking about what's going on with the Jeffrey Epstein files. There is no black book. There is no client list anymore. Somehow a complete reversal in the current administration on this topic. And so let's have a little fun with it with some Epstein bingo. Everyone should have their bingo cards. Kurt, if you open up your text message, you'll have your own unique bingo card. And I'm going to pull the names or the topics within here. And we're going to see who wins Epstein's bingo, but then we're going to talk about each one of these as I pull them up. So if everyone's ready, I'll begin. And what did I name this? I named this Epstein,
Epstein
who?
who?
Who? Yeah.
Who?
Who?
We're, we're supposed to forget who Jeffrey Epstein is according to today. So we're going to start here. First one I'm pulling for the camera, security cameras.
I have that one.
Okay, this was a big deal. The security cameras apparently in the jail were malfunctioning. Most of them, I think
Immediately.
10 cameras in the jail were malfunctioning, specifically 2 cameras that would have caught Jeffrey Epstein's cell. And then when the camera footage was released by Pam Bondi, or at least somebody in the administration, there was a full minute missing in the security cameras, whether that's a mistake or was done intentionally. Point being, there's a minute missing. What happened in the minute caused a lot of speculation on social media. So security cameras, everyone should have it. Any comments added to the security camera theory here? I know Quirt may have some.
Well, I just
Convenient.
think her explanation of why that minute was missing was the most telling. I mean, it was such a poor explanation. She says, "Oh, well, that," and she's stammering through it. Well, that security footage, they've been missing a minute for the past 10 years. It just automatically at 11:59 it jumps to midnight. It's been doing that for years, we're told. Well, and she had to, like, as she was saying it, you could tell she wasn't believing what she was saying as she was saying it.
Yeah.
Like, well, that seems like a simple fix, and you guys are just going to go with that. So I think that's just the most telling. I I don't know anybody from the administration that has been pushed to just squash this. It was believing what they were saying, but they were still stepping in line and saying it, and that's extremely disappointing.
Yeah.
So, for the less interested in this story, person like me, uh, is the security camera missing minute. I saw the headline. Is the missing
No.
minute the exact minute where potentially somebody entered Epstein's cell? Is that line up?
I don't know if it lines up, Kel. I didn't look into
Okay.
it, but I think some of the speculation on on social media was that that was either before or after, and somebody could have entered or exited within that 1 minute, and that was what was being covered up. Whether it lines up sequentially, look, I mean, my personal belief is that's just an error in the security camera footage. There wasn't anything nefarious within that 1 minute, but it brings up
It
the
wasn't
whole.
nefarious.
Yeah, I mean, it just brings up this whole security camera issue in the first place, which was when Jeffrey Epstein, quote unquote, hung himself. 10 of the security cameras were like malfunctioning in the jail, and the two cameras that would have caught his jail cell were malfunctioning, and the security guards were apparently sleeping. So it just kind of rehashes, I think, some old theories and arguments that no surprise there's a minute missing from this security cameras.
Yeah.
There apparently all of them are missing, and none of them show you what actually went on. Important to note, this jail in New York has had long issues with this kind of things. And so I don't think it's surprising from that aspect, but certainly a high profile, call him a celebrity, call him whatever you want, being in that jail, you would have assumed that there would have
Security
been
should
some
have
extra
been heightened.
protocol taken with his arrest. So moving on, the next one I'm pulling is former President Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was found in the flight logs
Right.
for Jeffrey Epstein's plane. Has never been confirmed that Bill Clinton actually was on quote unquote Epstein Island, and the former president has denied ever being there. Nonetheless, the flight logs show that he was on his plane. And to the former president's credit, a lot of people were apparently on Jeffrey Epstein's plane.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey Epstein at the time, at his height, was flying around all sorts of different places, not just back and forth to his island. He was known as a wealthy billionaire, even though I don't believe he was a billionaire. But nonetheless, was hanging out with the rich and famous, including former presidents.
So, do we know anybody who was on the island? Like, is that even a thing we know?
The flight logs suggest that certain. I think Bill Clinton's the flight path was to Epstein Island, but
Okay.
as far as like pinpointing people to being and staying on the island, I think that's always been up in the air. Like RFK was on his plane, but he took it from like New York down to Florida or somewhere. He wasn't flown directly to the island. So there's a lot of speculation, a lot of question marks
Yeah.
as to who was just using his plane, who was just piggybacking off his plane, or who was actually taking it, directly.
Yeah, and I think there's been witness testimony, Kelly, that over the years from some of the women
Right.
and from some others through other investigations. So basically, eyewitness accounts of who was on the island. As you can imagine, a lot of that eyewitness accounts has been buried, and so um, they've deemed them, I wouldn't say not credible, but they certainly haven't given them the weight of credibility as far as this entire case goes. So
And isn't there like several of these women who have either died, committed suicide, or mysteriously
yeah,
disappeared?
there's all
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think anybody notable has come out and said that they have been on the island. If that was your question,
Gotcha.
but even in the
Well, yeah,
So they just all played coy, like they were
yeah.
like on the plane.
they
They
all
definitely
played
know it went to
coy.
the island, but they're like, oh,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
might
they'll
not have
admit
been there.
knowing him. Obviously, there's pictures of him with, these people, but
Yeah.
They all
they
played
all
coy, and I
deny
think
that they knew that side of him.
Yep.
what's a big tell now is how nobody politically is screaming against this case being buried. Like typically you
Yeah.
got somebody on the left does something that somebody on the right doesn't like. They're screaming at them, accusing them of this, that, and the other. Donald Trump buries this. His
Yeah.
administration buries this, and nobody on the other side is screaming at him about burying this. So I think that's a tell in itself. Everybody's
Yeah.
like, "Whew, wow, finally got this one behind us." Like,
Yeah.
glad we stay
Yeah,
coy
I
all
think
these
there was
years.
I think that was a pretty tangled web. Even, I don't know if you guys watch like any of the different, like the docu-series and on Netflix and that, there's been quite a few different things that have come out about Epstein, and even those to me didn't give you like any answers. There's some interviews with some of the girls, and usually they're like they were troubled youth. They'll
Mm-hmm.
admit that they had maybe drug problems, or they were a party girl, or whatever, and here was this wealthy charismatic man, or they met what's her face that was recruiting these girls for him.
Ghislaine.
um
Ghislaine,
yeah,
Maxwell.
and they're
who's
not
serving
usually
20
painted
years
in the
for
best light.
trafficking no
So
one.
right, so it doesn't there I never, I think I watched two of them, and you don't really, I don't feel like I got any more knowledge or any answers that I was looking for,
Well, and that's intentional though. That's all. It's all
right,
engineered,
yeah,
Tara, to propagate to people that this was blown out of proportion, that this was a lot less of what it was. And I think this all of, it's like anything that comes out of Hollywood or gets put on Netflix, you really have to question the motives of it. And because I think in that case, it's just to say that, oh, it was just, just some young party girls got tangled up with some rich people, and there was,
yeah, I feel like they
there
try to
was there
show
was
that
no
they've done their
honeypot
due
operation
diligence.
going on.
Okay. Well, we're
There's
gonna
never
get to
any
all that
smoking
because
gun.
I've got
Hmm.
all the conspiracies in our bingo here. So we're
Okay.
gonna go through.
Pick a few
we're gonna
more.
go. We're gonna go to the next one. Les Wexner.
Hmm.
Kurt, do you
I don't know who
know
this
who
is.
this man is?
Yeah, I mean, he's the billionaire clothier, started Victoria's Secret.
Bed Bath.
Um, was known to, I think, help procure women for Epstein and his clients, or his not clients.
Yes, he's the founder of L Brands, owns Victoria's Secret,
Limited,
Bath and Body Works,
right, limited brands.
and yeah,
Hmm.
he appears to have been Epstein's only publicly known client and major source of Epstein's wealth. Wexner granted Epstein power of attorney and access to a lot of his money, sold him his Manhattan townhouse for reportedly $0. And yeah, appeared to be kind of the genesis of Epstein's ascension when he started his own financial management firm. So, what the connection is there could just be money, but worth bringing up a name
Yeah.
that started it.
What
So
is Epstein's like pedigree? Where did he even come from?
He was
He was
a
a
history teacher up
math
until
history or math teacher.
yeah, or math teacher. That's what it was. Math teacher up until up until him and Lex, I think, connected, and then
Okay.
that's the real kind of peculiar thing of it. T is that
Like,
he was
how did he
basically
acquire
he
all
was like a
this wealth?
glorified accountant, investor. Like, how do you become a billionaire off doing
Right.
that? So there's where I think a lot of questions lie, and especially with a client list that is unknown outside of Lex.
So Lex Wessner, the guy who started Victoria's Secret, likely funded Epstein, and we're surprised by that.
No, we're not surprised
No,
by it.
Okay. All right.
no,
No.
Just going with it. I'm like, oh, I mean,
But you have
I
to
feel
look
like that
into
tracks.
you got to look into Les and see where his connections are. What would have been his motive to back an Epstein? Um, and yeah, we're going to get into it because the next one on the bingo card is the deep state.
Oh, I got
For those
bingo.
listening,
you got
you got bingo
bingo.
already.
Oh, you got
All
bingo
right, Tara's
already?
the bingo winner. Well, then, Tara, we're going to kick the deep
What
state
do I
over to
get?
you.
No,
You
don't
get
put me on the deep state.
Yeah, you get the opportunity to talk first about the deep state. What do you get? I don't know. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein is
Bragging
reportedly
right? Yeah.
dead. His ashes
Is
in a
he?
unmarked grave somewhere. But the deep state, Tara. So the speculation, the theories here, conspiracies, right, is that Jeffrey Epstein was an asset to the U.S. government,
Mm-hmm.
and Kurt mentioned the honeypot operation, meaning blackmail, right?
Right.
So whether this whole operation was set up by the US government or the US government was made aware of what Jeffrey Epstein was doing and the people who were visiting this island or he was associated with, FBI, CIA come in, they make Jeffrey Epstein an asset and
Mm-hmm.
he begins to blackmail his clients and therefore give leverage to the US government over foreign dignitaries, other influential people, things that we know have happened, do happen, and
Right.
movies and TV shows are written about those kinds of things.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why I question, like, where did he even come from? A lot of people talk about this, like, in the celebrity world, that they call them, like, ops. They come out of nowhere. There's no real story behind their struggle, but all of a sudden they're, wildly famous and have huge followings and are essentially have no real talent, but, we should all care about who they are. So that's where
Yeah.
it's bizarre that it doesn't seem like he had any history in finance, and then just out of nowhere gains all these connections to these massively wealthy and influential people, and nobody thinks to question that.
Yep.
Maybe I'm a little more like pessimist, but
Well, no, I mean your sentiment is shared by, I would say, about
I think it is now, but I'm talking about,
80% of
his,
Americans.
yeah, now after the fact. I'm talking about, during his initial ascension into prominence and fame, like what nobody thought to question his background then,
Yeah.
and how he was involved with all of these people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a good question, and that's on one side of the coin. Here's the other one for the next bingo poll. It's kind of hard to see, but this one is Israel slash Mossad. Kurt, I
Yeah,
know
bingo again.
Tara's the winner.
I'm really good at bingo.
So the Israel Mossad thing, Kurt, I would expect you to know a little bit about
Yeah, Kurt
this
knows
and the
all about it.
connections that Epstein has reportedly had, um, that Wexner had to Israel, and then also there was, I believe, a book or a memoir or something that came out from someone who confirmed that Jeffrey Epstein was, in fact, an asset for
Mm-hmm.
Mossad.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say Tucker's maybe talked about this some, Tucker Carlson, and others. So what do you know about this connection?
Yeah, I think there are. I mean, there's a lot of connections even through Ghislaine, however we say her name,
Yeah,
Ghislaine
Ghislaine.
Maxwell. Her father was also like a double agent for the Mossad, and then the KGB at one point. So I think there's just a lot. This thing is wrapped up in a lot of agencies, government agencies, and it people have made the connection to Mossad, also the CIA, and then some people want to argue that they can't even tell the difference between the CIA and the Mossad anymore; that they are almost one and the same. Um, and I mean, and that kind of, I think you can go down that rabbit hole a little bit. I feel like that these agencies are so big, they probably operate on different levels. There's probably a side of the CIA that are really, good, hardworking Americans, and then there's probably a whole side of it that is um, uh, doing some nefarious things that are tied to the Mossad. But I do believe, and this is probably one of the only reasons why this thing is swept under the rug now. I do believe that it was a honeypot operation run by a government, either our own or the Mossad, and I want to lean more towards the Mossad, which is I think even scarier that this thing is getting swept under the rug.
At the time
And
that it did.
at the time that it did, and it just goes to show you how much power that they have accumulated over this system. And that's the real problem I have with none of this coming to light. I think that if there were victims and that there were crimes against underage women and all of that, that those people need to be held liable, that justice needs to be served in that manner, which is a shame on one end that it never will be. And that people are going to get away with this. But I think the bigger problem is that there's this system that exists beneath our government and right underneath the surface that is pulling all the strings, and now it's never going to get uncovered. And I think the only real reason why it won't get uncovered is because so many people are tied to it, and it might disrupt the global empire. It might disrupt the global politics if this system is brought down. And I have a hard time just saying, okay, well, that makes sense, because it's so wrong. And it's if our politics are really controlled by blackmail, and our systems of government are controlled by by blackmail, I mean, we deserve to know, and that system needs to be unraveled. So I mean, I think there's everybody can agree this thing stinks. Nobody believes what we're being told. Nobody is okay with this thing being brushed under the rug. I think it becomes more and more obvious. The less they tell us, the more obvious it becomes that it was a honeypot operation, probably funded by the Mossad or the CIA.
Yep.
Right? I mean, what other explanation do we have for it?
Well, we certainly didn't get any from the next bingo, Pam Bondi. What
Bingo.
happened? Kelly's got
Yeah.
bingo.
I got bingo 2 ways.
All right, awesome.
Pam
Well
was my
then,
center square.
Kel, we're gonna kick Pam Bondi to you then, since you're the bingo winner. She certainly hyped this thing up for a while, that she was going to release the Epstein files. She put binders together on the White House lawn. She had influencers and media all come, only to find out this was already information that had been released. And she promised to follow up. She made statements like she has the client list or the black book on her desk. This was in response to when she released the binders. Everyone said nothing new here. When's the real goods coming? She said it's coming, and then
Nothing.
she buries it. So, like, what do you think's going on here? And she wasn't alone. She's not the only one burying it.
Yeah, I definitely, as you can tell. So I never dove down in the time that Kurt's talking. I'm literally on Wikipedia. I actually didn't fully know what the Mossad was, so I was like, I don't even know.
There you go.
Whole rabbit hole on Wikipedia in about 2 minutes, and I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh wow, okay, yeah. I mean, Pam Bondi. It's the whole thing is just so weird. And I think that the more weird it gets, the more that, like, the layman like me says, well, then something has to be up. Because just, yeah, exactly like you said, Brett. I mean, she came in with this, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to throw this stuff out there. And, okay, here's these binders, and these people walk out and it's nothing new. And then she's like, but I have it. And now it's like, but I don't. And oh, by the way, there's a minute missing. And that's what it is. And poof, it goes away. And it's just like, it just feels weird, because why are you projecting that you have something that then you have to come back out and don't have?
Yeah.
Is very weird. And it only makes people speculate that you're now compromised as well. And then isn't like where's Kash Patel?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, well, he was the same. He was preaching on, he was going to get to the bottom of this, that it's abhorrent that this could go on in our nation. And boom, now he's saying, oh, no harm, no foul. Epstein, he just had a bunch of tapes of underage women. It's horrific. We're not going to release that for the sake of the victims. We're not after the victims here. I mean, we want justice for the victims. That's not what we're after. We're after this system that exists, this one nation under blackmail. And the problem is, like, is it our nation doing the blackmail? Is it another nation doing the blackmail? And that is what's even more worrisome.
And then why? So it just is like, I don't know what is the continual compromises. I mean, so then you go like, okay, so if it's all blackmail, like, so then is Pam Bondi compromised? Is Kash Patel? Like, I don't understand how, like, nobody has a backbone, or it doesn't exist, or it just doesn't make any sense. It's just very weird.
If you remind everybody, there was a point in time where Pam was not getting the information she wanted, and she demanded from the FBI to release all these documents. And Kash at that point has just been stepped in as director, gets information. That's when it was released on the public side, and it wasn't enough. There was clearly more to the story. They've been talking about, I think Kash Patel was on multiple podcasts where he insinuated that the FBI was in possession of the black book, quote unquote, which is the client list. Is what everyone's talking about. Like, what's this lady in jail for 20 years? Trafficking women.
Yeah.
Okay. Who were her? But how is she in jail?
She trafficked to nobody?
To nobody, like nobody, and then that brings me to another one on the list here. You've got Prince Andrew, maybe one of the most well-known names that was on the list, flight logs. And I think there was a quote that came up in a deposition from one of the women that overheard Jeffrey Epstein tell somebody that, speaking of Prince Andrew, that he likes them young.
Yeah.
And so he's, again, kind of like, he was on the flight logs. We knew there was a connection there. Was he on Epstein Island? I think there was some eyewitness reports that he was. But what did he do? We don't know. Again, buried. Same thing here. DJT. On the flight logs, from what I read, never went to Epstein Island. It was a trip. I think one of his daughters was even with him, that he used the plane, Epstein's plane, for something. So he was on a flight log, and social media will kindly show you pictures of Donald Trump in the early years, or standing with Epstein and Maxwell. Again, nothing to see here. And then we're going to finish the last one. We're going to move on. David Copperfield is the last one. And I guess that's kind of appropriate, because wasn't David Copperfield like an illusionist?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So that's why he's good for the last bingo card. It's all gone. Nothing to see here.
It's another conspiracy for Quartz Corner that we will probably never, for generations to come, they will be discussing this.
Well, look at David Copperfield's his actual roots. That'll tell you a lot. His last name's not Copperfield. I'll tell you that.
Who was on Epstein Island?
Yeah.
His last name, he's born Kotkin.
Yeah.
David
Where in the world is Epstein?
What is
Nobody
he,
knows.
Kurt? Of
Yeah, so lots of conspiracy. It seems like MAGA Nation is not very happy with what
No.
the administration has just done. Some calling this a severe fracture within Donald Trump's support. That people are pretty upset about this.
I,
And Kurt, to your point, it doesn't appear that anyone is crying a foul within the Republican or Democrat parties, which is just not normal, right? It's not
not normal.
normal. Um, the Democrats will take every opportunity they can to cry a foul to anything that this president does, and the same way Republicans cry to foul to anything
Mm-hmm.
that Biden did or didn't do. And so this just seems weird that nobody's calling it out, but we've talked enough about it, and I hope some new information comes out so we can talk more about it.
Well,
Maybe we'll do another bingo.
yeah, I mean, I'll say that I think the best there's two prevailing theories, and I think the best one is that this system is too big and too robust to bring down because it will fracture the geopolitics. And I can get behind that. I guess I can understand it. I can't get behind it because it's morally wrong, and I think we as the American people deserve answers, and we need to see why and how our government is being run like this, and why it's allowed to be run like this. Like, there needs to be transparency on it. And then the other prevailing theory that I guess kind of makes sense, but it kind of goes back to that Trump's playing 5D chess shit, is that Trump used these files as a peace treaty with the powers that be. Hey, I'll squash this, but I'm going to get my way, and we're going to do things my way, and you're going to pass my bills, and you're going to fight my wars or not fight my wars, yada yada. And that he's holding that
Make
as
it the will of
leverage.
the devil.
Holding that as leverage. But I think that in itself is just like, that's such high hopes. That it's the same hopeful mentality that we had in the first Trump term, that he was going to save us from COVID, and then he puts through Operation Warp Speed. It's like
When
it
he
just
was he was
feels.
going to expose all of the Clinton,
Yes, right. He exposed all,
mishigas
and he
during his
did nothing.
first. Yeah, and
So that
there's
just
never
seems
been anything
that
to
just
come of
seems
that.
more
So
that just seems more hopeful, and I think it just comes down to, we'll never know. We
right.
are governed by corrupt pedophiles.
Well,
there's
And
our social media clip.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
there you have it. All right, so moving on, we're going to go to lighter topics. This segment it'll be shorter here. We're gonna talk about some deals updates on the personal front. And look, if you don't have anything, make up something. So Kelly, deals updates. Deals updates.
yeah.
What on your business? I know you've got a lot going on, and it seems like you're in an era of your life right now where all the kids are grown. They were out of the house. It seems like they're all coming back to the house now, but they're coming back to the house perhaps for good reason. They want to be part of what you're up to and your successes. So tell us about a deal update or a highlight for the week.
Okay, sure. Yeah, where to start? I don't have to make up anything. There's a lot going on, I guess. So, deals updates. I mean, business is great. We've grown obviously a lot in the past couple years. Getting a new tax provision in the middle of July, I've jokingly said, is like Christmas in July for us. And in a world of a shortage of accountants, I am doing my darndest to capitalize on that and growing. I'm looking at another potential acquisition pretty aggressively right now. I do have some pretty crazy ideas about expansion.
Acquisition
Um,
number what?
I've done 5 so far, so it would be number 6. I may be up
Nice.
pseudo number 7. I have another meeting next week as
All
well.
right.
And I guess on other things, I mean, I started this little entrepreneur lab that's kind of kicking off. I'm building a course out on that. I just got final edits on my book finally. I think I'll publish that. I already started writing another one. And I leave after next week to start onto kind of what feels like speaking part of the year. And so
Yeah.
I will be at my national conference talking all about tax stuff with the tax pros. And I get a lot of enjoyment from that as well. Kind of trying to educate other people on all the fun in and around the tax world and how to run a business. So that's quick.
Way to go, Kelly. Kelly's crushing it. You are
Or not
crushing it.
sleeping, one or the other.
Well, you know what? You don't have those little kids to be raising anymore, and you're just you're on a tear. I'm excited to see what's next. Kurt, what's going on? I only know what you're working on through social media and what Tara is now posting for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like the social media content's gotten a lot better for you, so I think that's great. But it seems like you got your hands on a lot of different stuff right now.
Yes and no. I mean, business is, is steady. I got a ton of things up on the board that we're chasing project wise. I think the biggest expansion is we just got our South Carolina license. So now we can build in South Carolina, which will be good. I think Charlotte is it's a tougher and tougher market to build in. There's so much competition now. And so I think priority for me is refocusing my energy on deals I know I can close and not chasing deals that 5 other contractors are chasing. So I think landing in softer markets like Greenville or Charleston might actually be beneficial for us. Charlotte's, it's always going to be a great market. It's just highly competitive. So construction, we're just still pushing ahead, business as usual. Just need to rethink a bit of our tactics. And then as far as the bar and lounge coffee shop goes, the we're just trying to figure out how to make that thing more profitable. I mean, we've got a great product. We have an amazing lounge. People rave about us in Charlotte. So now we're just tweaking some things there, seeing how we can make it more profitable, and then create a few more concepts around that.
That's great. Do you have any let's get on the business side. Do you have any deals with a significant other yet, or are we still waiting on that deal?
No,
No
no,
deals. Okay.
no
All right.
deals with the significant other. What do you mean, like business deals with the significant other?
Oh,
I
no,
think
no,
he
no. I
means
mean, like,
contract.
like a
Any
Will you
formal,
be
contracts?
signing
like,
any contracts anytime soon, Kurt?
The fact that you just said business deal and we're talking.
no,
Because
we're not
that
talking
is
about a
the
business
most
deal with Allie.
important
We're
business
definitely not.
partnership you will ever make in life is who you marry.
We're not talking
Well,
about prenups or anything like that.
oh no. Well, I thought you thought my meant business because I had talked about Allie about in Charleston. Now they got my license down there. Maybe like trying to do a flip together because she's kind of in a lull period while she waits to get into PA school, and she's just modeling full time. And figure we could maybe
Right.
do a fun project together. And now they got my license down there.
So be
But
business partners first, see how that goes, and then
yeah,
Life partners
maybe
later.
see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
we'll see if you can make money together first, right?
All right. Well,
We're just because we're not like really in a rush, right? Because age isn't a factor.
Age is no factor.
Not for
No,
him.
I'm not
He don't
even in.
care.
I'm not even in my prime yet.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Terry, you got
Sorry
anything
about
for
that.
us?
I like to work quietly. I don't like to share my work until it's a success. So,
Whatever happened to that
we're
Fox
just
News interview?
busy with the kids. Whatever happened to what?
Whatever happened to that Fox interview you were doing?
Oh, it got posted. It was on
Where?
Fox. Then like Washington Post picked it up. New York.
I didn't know anything.
I don't know. If you Google it, there's like unfortunate amounts of articles about me now. So
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I have
Oh
to
yeah.
Google it. I didn't know
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
didn't announce it, and that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. You we were in Greenville when it came out, Brett. I got a notification on my phone when you were at the ball field with us.
Okay. No, like you said, you
So,
work quietly, so
yeah, I'm not big on,
just doing your thing.
yeah. We're just living life. We got sports. We got ball today. This is the final weekend of baseball, and then we go full throttle into football, Jeremy's favorite sport. We have almost finished the kitchen. We have a porch renovation happening or not a renovation, an addition. We've never had a physical front porch. So the front porch addition is being installed as we speak. I think he's there working today again. Uh, Due to my connections with Kurt, I was able to get a great deal on some beautiful bath tile. So we have our spare bathroom being installed next week.
Oh yeah, do you
Yeah,
shop Downtown?
additional. Yeah, it's an additional bathroom.
Nice.
Yeah, I use Dow Towel. Shout out to Dow, that we love them, and they're in Charleston, so they were able to get me. I was trying to find this one specific tile. Jeremy and I looked everywhere, couldn't find it, and I hit up our rep, and he was like, "I literally, that is our tile. I can get it for you." So,
Nice.
he did. Yeah, Josh,
Right.
he hooked me up. So that should
How
be
about
Good
you,
delivered
deal.
next
B? What
week.
do you got shaken?
Yeah,
Well,
how's airlock?
Yeah, how's
yeah.
airlock?
So airlock for the audience. Been working slowly over multiple years to try to launch a
Did you get?
luxury
Did you get
sport.
the video I sent you yesterday?
I didn't look at it. Was it on TikTok?
Oh my God, yes, but it was hilarious.
I don't have Tara. We've talked about this. I do not have TikTok. If you
I
send me a
know, but
TikTok,
I
I
didn't know if you
cannot
had to have
open
it
it.
to like watch the video.
You do. You
I'll
cannot.
find,
Oh,
I'll screen record and send it to you because it pertained to your passion of golf, and I thought it was funny.
so
Okay.
so the family favorite TikTok, that's not you.
No, that's
That's an
me.
Instagram.
Oh, I've been sending specifically curtailed videos to that TikTok, thinking it was you.
No, I have. No, no,
Oh,
No,
okay. Yeah, I've been
he
sending
has.
niche
He only has
videos
an
just for the family
Instagram.
favorite.
No,
I
he
have
only
an
has an Instagram.
Instagram account. I exist there. I have a
More,
Twitter. I mean, I don't post on either one. Um,
more
Yeah.
examples
haven't.
of Kurt just coming to the party.
Kelly and I talked
I
about this. She's
figured
like,
there
"Do
was.
you watch? Do you watch these memes Kurt sends?" I said, "No. Like, I look at them to clear, my
He
notifications, and
means
I
to
keep
send them to
scrolling
me.
because I never know. Like, none of it ever makes sense to me. I don't even know what
None
I'm
of
looking
Kurt's
at half the
memes make
time.
any sense to me whatsoever.
They're usually pretty niche.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
I
that's
take.
obviously
hilarious.
very specifically niche to you and you only, because the rest of us have no clue.
No, I send them based on you guys. I send them if
Oh
they
well.
if,
A
I
lot of them are
I literally
overhead.
watch occasionally some of what you send, Kurt, and I think that you're laughing and I am completely deadpan. Like I have no
Yeah,
idea what
I,
portion of it was funny and I can't even figure it out. Like I
well,
don't
I
even
thought you would enjoy the AI animals from the diving board. I thought that was pretty funny.
I don't think I've seen that one.
that one either.
No. All right. So yeah, on the deals update, I think the most recent thing on the luxury sports brand that I've been trying to launch for a few years here now, I've been going through a extensive and expensive trademarking process
Yeah.
for the brand, and I think in theory, it was look, I'm not in a rush to launch this thing, and I want to kind of get all of my IP set up front, and I paid a lot of attorneys a lot of money to go through this trademarking process. That in the end, I mean, maybe I got 50% there. And I'm at a point now, as Kelly reminds me, that I just need to just move ahead.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where I'm at. I have a little bit of IP. I don't have all of it that I want, but I can't really spend any more money on trademarking. It's two things. It's money I could be spending on product, and it's time that is just lost in getting launched. And so yeah, now's the time to just move forward and then circle back to getting the proper solidification of the IP as the brand matures. So that's where I'm at. I'm excited to move forward and just kind of forget that. I mean, I've paid all my bills, so that's
Yeah.
the good news. I just don't have the result that I was hoping for. And for anyone who hasn't trademarked anything before, Kelly's done a little bit of this. I was trying to file in like all these various different classes of goods. So like I can sell a hoodie, I could also sell a leather bag, and all of those are different classifications. You have to file separately in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it turns out that the trademark office, patent and trademark office, is just another government bureaucratic loophole of who knows what goes on there. And it's not actually set up to help business get started
Right.
on multiple measures. It's nothing about it is quick, nothing about it is inexpensive. They make it very difficult for you to do it on your own. And yeah, it's just really it's really a shame that you would think in today's world that having your own IP is really important, especially when we're talking about things like we want to keep our IP in the United States and not let other countries, knock off our goods and services and the whole Amazon stuff. But then we have the government agency that you must go through to get that IP is not really supporting business. And they're more or less supporting the established brands. And I find that really disappointing. So that's on that side of the deals update. On the other end, on the 9 to 5 job, the big beautiful bill was not big and beautiful for us.
Not for you, huh?
And for those listening that don't know, I am part of the green new scam, and so I'm labeled as such. And this bill really, really, really was not helpful in many different ways. And then just when we thought we like crawled out alive, um, Trump issued an executive order this week directing the Department of Treasury to basically, do cleanup of what the bill didn't do that Freedom Caucus folks and the administration wanted Congress to do, but they had to get a bill that could get passed and get the votes.
Yeah.
So that's going to keep me busy for the next 2 months trying to figure out how to save a business.
Navigate that.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
a lot
hey,
of navigation.
let's have a marketing meeting for Airlock B, and then we'll just push that out the door.
It's not. I have to have product first, T.
I know,
Um,
but you can start spilling some spoilers.
I could. You're not wrong.
People love to get on a wait list for something they cannot have.
This is true. I will be doing waitlists because I think it's a great model. I really do.
Time kills all deals, Brett. Move faster.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is true, but it's my deal, and I'm okay taking a little bit of time. It doesn't bother me much.
Time does
So
kill deals. I will agree with that.
the last one that we're going to cover, T, your topic,
Oh, can we put a
are
pin in it?
millennials. Are millennials the greatest generation? You have had insinuated that this was perhaps a trending topic. I maybe don't know the trends. So I'm going to let you take this one over. Are millennials the greatest generation? I did do some research on this last night, ChatGPT and Grok, and I'm maybe a little mixed on how this is going to be answered. So go
Okay.
ahead.
Well,
Grok,
I
huh?
think originally, if you're on social media, it started off kind of, as the beauty and kind of the wellness influencers spouting off against the younger generation, saying that, you know, we are actually aging better. We look younger than your average 20-year-old because they're filling their face and, you know, getting Botox and doing all of these procedures. And millennials have learned how to age gracefully. And so that was where initially I, you know, kind of started to see the trend. But now it's gone, taken a different turn, just to basically, if you're on social media, you know, they come from millennials and everything is millennial coded and the millennial pause and kind of picking on our fashion. And but then everything comes back full circle, and, you know, and skinny jeans were just like demonized for so long, and now they're bringing it back, and everything was high-waisted, and now they're going back to the ways of the low-slung Britney Spears. And then when you just move on and think about other aspects of a millennial's life, you know, we have lived through um, having a telephone on the wall in the kitchen, having dial-up internet, you know, having a car phone, to then having a cell phone, to then now, you know, essentially you're walking around with a full-blown computer in your pocket. I think that we are the generation of adaptation. We have learned how to navigate through this world through, you know, all these different changes. And if you look at the generation now, I mean, they don't know how to adapt to anything without like pure outrage. And we're just the generation that's had to adapt through everything. We built the internet, we pioneered remote work, we've normalized therapy and boundaries and mental health. We've been through financial ruin and been resilient and figured out how to you know, shift focus and find another way. We're raising our kids differently than our parents raised us. We have more fathers who are taking an active role in their children's lives, where perhaps the generation before us, you know, the men went out and worked and the women stayed home and they cared for their children. And then we just lived through like the best generation of nostalgia. I mean, we had MTV, we had reality TV started in our generation. You know, we had Paris Hilton's of the world. We had um, Abercrombie, Juicy Couture. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. I think I will advocate that we are the best generation as much as they come for us on social media. What has this generation really done for us? We have started, you know, these beauty standards and the wellness community, and I just think we're much more well-rounded, and we're gaining wealth faster than any other population or any other generation. So I just think, you know, I mean, I want to hear what your argument is, because you said that you found a lot to the contrary. But for me, I think that our generation has a lot to offer.
Tara's super pro millennial.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I mean, if millennials had a checkbook, that means should be paying you to be their star for sure.
So we're all millennials.
We are all millennials, yes.
All four of us are millennials. Okay.
Yeah, 81 to 96.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was born in 80. I'm like right the tail end.
Well,
Yeah.
you're on the cusp. You're fine.
Yeah. You're good. But you're a baby.
I'm a baby.
Yeah.
I was a late bloomer anyway.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, I mean,
I don't think you're wrong, Tara. I think that's probably where we see, you know, a lot of things happening. I mean, the average, you know, people out there, I mean, you know, Kurt is obviously, I think, the harshest on the boomer gen, but yeah, I mean, we're the movers and shakers of the world right now. I think that's, you know, if you say that's everybody from basically 30 to 45, we are, yeah, we've had a lot of change. That's very clear in that. And I think that, yeah, we're balanced. I think it's interesting, particularly in, like we talked about AI last time, and I'm seeing this even in hiring, I've observed that there's a whole segment of the younger generation, like some of the younger people that I'm hiring into my firm, that are actually not utilizing AI technologies as much as we are. I know that all of us are on the daily. And I think maybe it's because they've taken for granted all of the tech they had at their fingertips, whereas we remain a little bit more curious and we're
Yeah.
embracing what's new and happening and trying to test it out and parse out whether this is helpful for us. And the younger gen is just like used to everything just kind of showing up. And so they're not as curious. And that's an interesting thing to see because I've actually had it in interviews. I just had an interview 2 days ago and I asked specifically if they were utilizing any AI. And this young woman was probably early 20s. And she said no. She's like, oh, I think I've used it to cook, but like no daily usage of any kind of technology with AI, which I thought was interesting.
I mean, I would
Yeah.
say it's not that I don't disagree. Like millennials are a great generation, and maybe my point of contention there, T, isn't really whether we're good or not, or the greatest or not. But it seems like we've been plagued the most
Yeah.
of as a generation, the boomer generation. And if you follow just like the breadcrumbs of the boomer generation, and their how that generation ascended, where they're at today in their life, where the wealth is kept, home ownership rates, post World War II era, interest rate environment, all of these things. And then we just, in the beginning of the discussion, we're talking about the deficit. And you look at where this deficit came from. I mean, it came from the boomer generation, very clearly. Not only boomers alive, but boomers in power making those decisions in Congress and at the White House. And when you start looking at like those metrics, it's like millennials are, I think, reshaping the world in which the boomers created, both positively and negatively. So the boomers created this, let's just pick the deficit and circle back to that. Boomers created this massive deficit um, during their tenure, and millennials now, as we're all evidence of this, like we're done adding to this national deficit. This is ridiculous. We're anti that, and we see that in our day-to-day lives too. Is like things that our parents did or how they raised us. We're kind of like, well, I'm going to be not that, and we do maybe the opposite or some version of it. So I do think there's a reshaping of the environment in which was created for us by the boomers, and then adding on to that is our generation seems to be plagued by um, the student loan debt, and then also this theory that higher education is what's going to make us successful, which is all seemingly falling apart now in front of our eyes. And mind you, it was the boomer generation that was pushing that theory and putting us into the higher education positions and allowing us to take out the student loan debt that's 1 point some trillion dollars, and why it's prompted Congress, who again is ran by boomers, to try to bail out the millennial generation of that debt, because they're all not saying the quiet part out loud that like they led this generation into that debt. And
Yeah.
so those are just a couple like anecdotes. I do think we're a great generation. There's still a lot of like economic data points that will have to be proven out because we're not old enough yet when it comes to
Yeah,
things
we're
like wealth
obviously, I'm not
creation.
saying we're perfect generation,
Um,
but I just think we're,
yeah,
a pretty good blueprint.
same as like home ownership. I think was like 75% for boomers, and we're at like 50% for millennials. So there's like certain indicators you can start comparing. Again, we're not at the same stage in life. Like we'd have to take that snapshot to say a boomer when they're 50 and a millennial when they're 50.
Hmm.
What do those economic indicators look like? So
Pertinent
I'd have
thoughts?
to agree with Brett. Yeah, I think we're the most resilient generation. I think
Yeah.
we have
Absolutely.
been born into this world of constant roadblocks, and you look at those metrics like Brett was just talking about with home ownership or debt or even the amount of children we're having, and I think you have to stack that up against the environment in which we have been brought into. So I think we are a very resilient generation. And I think it is getting to time where we do take complete control over our political state, over our economic state, and because we are still led by boomers. I mean, look at the past few presidents, and we've had like the oldest presidents in our history the past few years. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, like you look at stuff like that, and you're thinking, wow, well, shit, this isn't what the original political order was. The original political order was young men and women taking status over the political order. It was young men and women who had the most at stake, who were in control of these systems. So I think we are still living in the footprint of the boomer generation,
Yeah.
and it's not paying off for our generation whatsoever.
Do
And
you
they love to
think
blame us, and we love to blame them. But I think it's like, you know,
yeah.
it's
Do you think, Kel, this Kurt's prompted me to think about this a little bit more. This deficit issue, when I talk to the boomer generation about, like, are you not concerned that this bill was $3 trillion added to the deficit? The boomer generation has zero concern for that fact. It's all
That's
about,
correct.
well, look at the growth and look at the things that this is going to prompt.
Mhm.
The millennials are very concerned about that fact. Why? Because we have grown up in that environment of debt.
Well,
The student loan debt's a perfect example of that. Nobody wants to be in that position. We were
yeah, I
led
think
down that path.
that's exactly it, Brett. I mean, you said it's these, we're strapped in the middle of believing something that and I always try to say I think people are well intentioned, and I think that the boomer gen pushed higher education to balloon the way that it did, that so many people ended up with, well, they weren't given those same opportunities, and so because they weren't, for
Right.
education purposes, they were like, if you go get a higher education degree, you're absolutely going to be guaranteed to have an easier life, perhaps.
Right.
And then we're the living realities of that for a lot of our generation, where it's like, well, that's not the case. You still have to go to
mhm,
work, and believe it or not, the salaries aren't commensurate with how much education you paid,
Yeah.
and the cost of that debt, was so much greater than what the benefit was. And so we
mhm,
see that. And so the same thing, we sit here today and we say, yeah, but we're doing the same thing to our country. And I think coupled with it is always what all of us feel is, not only are we ballooning the debt,
So boring, is it
but
not? That's what I said. Put a
we're
hard stop and
ballooning
start on
the
my topic. At least my
government,
topic's
and
fun.
we
Yeah.
just keep adding to a government that, we're supposed to just keep believing has our best interest in mind, and we all agree that that is not the case. And so why do
mhm,
we just keep ballooning the size of our government to allow us to go further into debt, which we all know is not a good thing, and get our government to be bigger and have more control? And my husband and he brought up like a really interesting point last week. He was watching something on the History Channel about, when we took over from the Native Americans. And, he's like, the entire thing was essentially orchestrated by our government. And, the Native Americans were moved off their lands and put into, their reservations and all of the things, because the government decided that that was the best thing to do. And you can have personal feelings about right,
Brett's
wrong, or
good.
indifferent,
Kelly
but the
just, she's
point
so
is,
boring.
a
She
little
drags
bit of
on.
history shows
Brett
us that the
doesn't.
government with so much power and control is never the right choice.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
that is, to all of our points
Yep.
consistently, Kurt's always like, look,
Well,
these boomers are going to die. And they're like, oh, yeah, but it's okay. And it's like the deep state just keeps getting deeper, and the government keeps getting
And
muckier. And
our quality of life continues to decline. Our buying power gets smaller and smaller every year while things get more expensive. And they call it inflation Well, I think it's time we start calling it theft,
Oh
because
my
that's
God.
all it is. It's just theft. It's just an extra
I'm not like that.
tax
I don't even care. Notice
that we frankly can't afford. And like, you want to look at, I mean, you look at the how much money millennials are making comparatively to boomers in their at the same time in their life. We have so much less buying power, and we can't do near as much with that money as they could. And when does that stop? And that brings me back to my original point in the beginning of this whole conversation, is why I'm so frustrated with Trump and this administration right now, is because I thought we were changing this. I thought we were going to do something different. I thought we were going to quit stealing our inheritance from us, and that we were going to put America first, and none of that is coming to reality. We just are sheep being led to slaughter, in my opinion. And I hate to be so doom and gloom about it, but it's just like, well, shit. I thought this was our last chance. And if this isn't our last chance, I mean, we have all the markers of a failing empire right now.
Well,
All of the
then
markers.
to my point about why I can just suck it up and not care about the deficit for the tax cuts is that we should all own businesses. We should all make our own wealth creation, and
Mhm.
the government is not here to save you. And so
Yeah.
you should take.
Yeah.
I'm going to take every possible advantage of that, you know, benefit and use it for my family's wealth creation rather than relying on the government someday to pick up the pieces, because they're not coming to save us.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're not. And they'll continue to do tax cuts and things like that to basically give us our own money back.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And keep some political will. But again, I do think this sentiment, though, if you capture it, I do believe is a sentiment going back to what Elon's doing with this America Party. And I have said this for a couple years. The pendulum often swings, and it swings hard, especially in politics. And if this pendulum, away from, Kurt, to your point, the frustration with a lot of the same, uh, shifts towards truly independent, libertarian, non-party allegiant people, then there really is an opportunity for a third party. And I don't get caught up in whether that's going to be successful or we have a two-party system. Well, I mean, look around the world. I mean, we're maybe one of two countries that have a two-party system. It can work, and we're not all monoliths. Like, and it shouldn't be expected that just because you're sending somebody to Congress that they're going to truly look out for your state's interests, when at the end of the day the vote goes with the party. And so at the end of the day, you're just voting for a party. And a lot of people will do the straight ticket and other things like that. So I still have hope that there is a push to, yeah, it's a different power, get power back to the people. I think that comes through like libertarian values and small government. But how do you deal with a bloated government? Elon tried. If he can't do it, who else could? We'll perhaps find out. And we're not going to see, I don't think, drastic changes under this current administration. What will be really interesting is to see the slate of candidates that arise post-Trump. And midterms are coming up. We're going to see what happens there. That will give us some indication, perhaps, as to what that's going to look like. But we've been going now for a little while. We need to wrap it up. Any final last thoughts before the weekend? Tara, you're back with us.
Yeah.
What's that?
We have to
You
move to
got
the
any?
next field. We're going over to Carolina Stadium for the next game, so we have to drive. Sorry.
Okay.
She's on the
Well,
move.
good.
I'll take pictures for you, though. They're very excited. They
OB3.
get to play on a college baseball field.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah.
Just remember, folks, Epstein didn't kill himself.
Epstein
That's
who?
Kurt's
Epstein
takeaway for the
didn't kill
day.
himself.
Who?
No, Epstein.
Who is Jeffrey? I don't
Who
even know
is
the
he?
name.
Who is he really? I'm sure we actually don't know.
That's right.
Yeah, we don't know. But okay, thanks everyone, and have a good weekend.
Bye,
And for
guys.
the audience, if you liked the conversation or hated it, again, put it in the comments. Make us go viral in any way. Rip on Kurt for being a conspiracy theorist. Tell Kelly that she's a horrible
They
tax
did. They did
consultant.
on TikTok.
Um, all of the things we welcome all of it, the love and the hate. So we'll end it with that.